Does this have to like show? Can I just not? I hope you guys can hear me, because today we're talking about how I left my 9 to 5 job and why did I do it. I can tell you that off the bat, because I'm just trying to not live a miserable life. It's as simple as that. Growing up in a brown community, you're always told and educated and groomed to basically get good grades and work hard so you can find a good job, and then you work hard in that job to level up, to become management in that, and really just the encouragement just really stops there. Whatever happens. You've been told sky is the limit from there, and that's how I've been programmed growing up, that you have to work for corporate. But that wasn't the only option. If you didn't want to work for corporate, your options were to become a doctor, a lawyer, or accountant. Those were your options. I was never exposed, like even in school, and this is where I feel schools fail us, that I was never exposed to the various million options out there that one can do with their lives, or how to explore them, how to even explore your own talents to see if you even have any talents of your own. No, you were molded to grow up to just get good grades, be polite to people. Your biggest achievement will be getting a job in a massive corporate company, and then sky's the limits for you. And so naturally growing up, that's what you would do, right? You would work hard. When you get the grades, it's the next step and the next step and the next step. I was lucky enough, when I had matriculated, my dad asked me what I wanted to do. I had interest in cosmetology, in beauty. So I found a short cosmetology course and I asked him if I could study this. He paid for it and I ended up going to college. I've got an international diploma for a short cosmetology course. Not that that benefited me in any way. And going to cosmetology school was like just the greatest ever. I was in my element. I knew I wanted to create something out of, you're given basic ingredients and now you need to create a masterpiece. I love the whole artistic factor of it. I've always loved art and looking at art. I never really understood it, but I just was always mesmerized by it. I love photography. I love taking pictures. I love taking videos. I would maneuver certain things in different ways and angles and that, just so I could get an interesting picture. As a kid, I didn't realize that was my passion. There was nothing to entice me to dig more into my passion, to see how good I really was. And so cosmetology school was the best ever until I realized that it wasn't bringing in the money. And now as an adult, a young adult, but still as an adult, you need to bring in the money. So I went to cosmetology school. I developed my own portfolio just on the top of my head because I figured that people will need to see my work. I had no guidance or direction, or the internet for that matter, to assist me, not like how we have now ChatGPT, to assist me in how to make the best profile. So I booked a photographer and I selected a bunch of people in the area I was living in to be my models for the day. And so early in the morning, they all came over to my apartment and I did all their makeup. It took me like 6 hours. I did all their makeup, including mine, and then we head over to the photographer. We did our photo shoots there and it was really so great. The photographer even asked me to jump into the photo shoot and made this massive like A4 portrait of myself. It was the most fun I've had in a long time. And then when the pictures were ready, I could put my portfolio together. Again though, these things take time and I wasn't earning any income by this point. So I was stressing. My dad had given me a car, which I was so blessed to have, but now I needed to pay for this car, pay for the insurance, and where's the money coming from? So it was stressful. At that point, I didn't realize that when you entrepreneur, things take time. Building a brand takes time. Building up your skills take time. I didn't realize that. I think in my wacky imagination, I just thought, this is what I'm going to do. Here's my portfolio, and here I'm going to be hired. So I spent a few months trying out this entrepreneurship with cosmetology, specifically skincare and makeup. And the fact that it wasn't bringing in the cash, I had to apply for a corporate job. So we would get the newspaper every Wednesdays and my dad would assist me to put a CV together and we would now apply. I had no interest. I would just do the admin part of it. But my dad had all the contacts and he got me into Quest recruitment agency through a friend of his. The recruitment agency will then place you to where they see fit. So honestly, you most likely to get appointed in the agencies back then, and so I was appointed first at Netbank as a teller. I worked there for a while until the branch manager had basically approached me to say that his wife is a recruitment manager for a recruitment agency company, and if I would like a permanent position there. And I jumped to the opportunity and I said yes, because now I understand that money was coming in, and you work every day and then you get an X amount at the end of the month. But I started off on a contract basis, and so I know that's not guaranteed, so you jump at any opportunity for a permanent position. Back then, went for the job, met his wife, got the job, and now I'm permanently employed in corporate. Yay! To be honest, given any task and understanding it properly, I can excel in any of it. I ended up leaving that company because now I just started leveling up, and my dad educated me in that every 2 years, to keep up with the market related pay, you need to move either positions or companies at least every 2 years. And that's the part I followed until I ended up in this biggest insurance company. I ended up there, and my first day of induction, I remember I got a call from Mnet. They wanted me to come in for an interview as a makeup artist. That was the most exciting call I've received. After receiving advice, I decided that the best decision would be to stick with my employment. I already started there now. I signed up. Going for an interview doesn't guarantee me the job, but now I have a guaranteed job, and I was getting nice money for it that was guaranteed every month. And so I stayed there. For 13 years, I stayed there. 13 years. It was nice. I built myself up still internally every 2 years. I was just moving up so I could keep up with the market related salaries. It was fun. It was challenging me intellectually, and I was a great consultant. I mean, you wouldn't move every 2 years if you weren't good at your job, right? I worked around that company in multiple departments and gained a hell of a load of experience. I got my qualifications. I think I'm like at NQF level 6 now. I came to a point where I could get more credits, and the Learning Academy said, you are already qualified. Like, what more do you want? Do you just want credits for this? Like, must I sign you up for this course? Because, I was like, yes, I want the credits. Just give me the credits now, So I was that motivated and passionate and everything. And it was exciting, because you are guaranteed a set amount every month that is comfortable. You have no financial stress at this point. But going through it, no matter how many new departments I went to and how many incredible people I met and different people I met, and how exciting it was to be independent and, drive a BMW and wear branded clothes and just have money, really. I always knew that something was missing. I just felt that the world is so massive. There's so many countries out there. There's so many places out there. And 90% of my time is in this one building, in this one location, at this one desk. I'd move desks every 2 years, but you get what I mean, in this one building for hours every day. And not only the hours are you required to be there, and you had to be there by specific times because they didn't understand that life happens. So when you're supposed to clock in at 8, and if you clock in at 1 minute past 8, then you're considered late, and you would get penalized for it in your performance review, which determines your salaries. And you would knock off at 5. But if there was a call that comes in at 4:59 or at 5, you need to take that call. And if that call keeps you there until 6 o'clock, then sorry, that's your job. But in performance review, you won't get rewarded for that kind of thing. It used to be fun and exciting. Like, the managers will come around every Fridays and have cocktail incentives and, freebie incentives and that. And that slowly started dying and fading away. While increased hours, now you got to work on Saturdays until 12. Now all of a sudden on Saturdays until 1. Now you got to work on Sundays. And it just started draining you. You just started working more and more and more and more. And in a specific structured way, you didn't have freedom to be yourself and prove to yourself that you can embrace this all on your own. You had to follow the script. And the more hours they took from you, they wouldn't replace it financially or any kind of incentive. Slowly that started eating away at you. It started becoming stressful. It started to raise questions. Is this really what life is about? Or like, I was really born here to do this and be in this building so many hours, and now it just feels like it's draining now, and it's not giving me anything except a set figure every month, really. And to compensate for whatever I feel like I was lacking, because I felt that I was lacking tremendously, I would go out and I would enjoy that money, and I would eat that money and drink that money and spend that money, and that was my reward. I was rewarding myself. But I knew deep in my core, I knew that life had so much more out there, so much bigger than this. But no one around me was able to open my eyes. No one around me was able to show me. No one around me was living differently to what I know. Everybody was working so hard in this corporate world and just, trying to meet ends meet still at the end of every month. Just still trying to meet ends meet. I didn't understand when I used to go out for lunch during my scheduled lunch break. I didn't understand how people would just randomly be brunching. Like, how are you brunching? How do you have the concept of brunch? Like, where does it come from? And so I was like, surely these people need to get money. So surely they're also working for corporate, or unless you just got rich parents. And that's just ignorantly what I thought. So if you didn't have rich parents and I didn't have rich parents, then the grind was to work in a corporate job, and you work hard and you never meet the board of directors and these people that you're working so hard for. And you're told how to work, what to do, how to do it. Even when you go on a pee break, you had to report, I'm going on a pee break. Now, surely not all companies are like this, and I know this for a fact because with Travis's 9 to 5, they don't report on their pee breaks, right? So it's also how each corporate is, you understand, and how they view and value their staff and their employees that work for them and bring them the business. Because really, you don't have a business without your employees. Plain down. And it's not to say that you won't stick with them. Like, I stuck with them for 13 years, But in order for me to take care of them, they also need to take care of me. So I feel like my experience is a bit more rough and a bit more raw. I wonder what my thoughts and opinions would be if I worked in a decent corporate company. But we'll never know. So I worked there not 5 years, not 10 years. And each year that I'd given my life to this entity, it just took more and more and more and more away from me. So much so that it came to a point where you didn't have creative freedom. You had to work by a script, and that was it. And if you don't work by the script, then you get penalized for it. And every time you get penalized, it counts against your increase amount, whether it's 3% or 5% or anything of that sort. It counts against that. The amount of hours and the extended hours that was now implemented into you and drawn up in your new contracts and that just took every bit of energy. You would literally wake up so early and get dressed because you had to look good, jump in your car and travel. So now you're spending time on the road trying to get there, your own time. You're not getting paid for that. Then you got to go there and make sure you're on time to be there for the scheduled time that you are paid for. And if it goes beyond that, then sorry, that comes out from your own pocket. Then you got to sit in the car and travel all the way back home, which you pay for. And it's just time wasting, right? Time wasting that you could be trying to do some side hustle, spending time with your family and friends and kids. And I used to yearn in my heart. Haley was so young, and I felt that I was missing hours of her growing up, hours and hours and hours of her growing up, and I hated it. And when I came home, they were the first things I ran to, but she and I used to have special ball time and that, and then I used to hug her and kiss her, and it became our routine when I used to go home. And I remember there was a couple of times where I said, I just wish that I could just be with you, I'll still do my part in society. I'll still work. I don't expect everything to come for free. I don't expect anyone to pay my bills. Like, I want to live life. I want to work for living, and I want to not miss out on life. Because why live here if you're not going to see it at all? If you're going to be stuck in one building at one desk, like, how are you living life? How are you experiencing life? And I cried in my heart so many times because I just knew it was so much bigger out there, just so much bigger out there. But I just felt stuck, and I felt in a cage. I just felt like this is life, this is the world, and this is what we all have to do. I felt that it was so unfair that I didn't have a choice on where to be born, which family to be born in, which country to be born. Because I'm in South Africa, and it's a third world country. It's amazing and it's beautiful, and we have lots of perks, but we have lots of problems. So I didn't have control over all these things. And now I'm going to spend my whole life working in this building for Mr. So-and-so, getting X amount every month and not being able to progress in my life and missing out the things that's happening in my life. It killed me. It killed me, and I just couldn't do it anymore. But there was no escape. I didn't know of any escape. And then you're so tired at the end of the day when you come home from your long journeys, and then you're so tired. You got to make supper now, you got to see to whoever you have to see to, and then before you know it, it's nighttime and you got to go to bed because you have to wake up early in the morning to get yourself ready to jump in the car and drive to work, spend the whole day there. And it's just a repetitive cycle. What, the 2 hours that you have to watch TV at night before bed, like, you don't want to give that up, because that's your restoration time. That's where you're relaxing. That's when you're calming down and giving yourself just a little bit of energy for the next day, for the next day, for the next day. You really don't want to be stressed out with looking for other jobs or trying something on the side when you don't have capital to start anything. You don't know where to start because you haven't had time to feed into your passions now. So you don't know what you're passionate about. You just don't know. So you just put up with the shit and you feel like, okay, it's fine. 8 hours later, I don't have to deal with it. It's whatever. You go and you just put up with it. You get your money at the end of the month. And that was life. That was my life. My life and my time on earth was spent 90% of the time just doing that, dealing with people's insurance complaints, having 2 hours to myself, half an hour to my pups. And that was it, just a repetitive life, really. It's not to say that you would have weekends, because weekends will surely be cut off, because then you had to work on Saturdays, and then after that on Sundays. But because it was paying the bill, it was okay, and I guess you had to put up with it, and there was no other way out, really. I made myself happy by buying things with the money, feeding myself, going out and partying, and just repeat. But I knew that set amount that they were giving me every month wasn't feeding into my craving of experiencing life. My experiencing life is traveling, but not just traveling the world, just traveling and experiencing things and exploring things locally, internationally, it doesn't matter. Just any experience is an experience, right? And it's an experience in life, and that's honestly what I crave. I am an experience whore, not experienced. Experience. Oh, I just want to experience things, So I wanted to travel. I wasn't really into brands and that. It's not my kind of vibe. I'm more of an earthy, hippie kind of vibe. But I do like good quality things. I could have saved. It would have taken me years and years and years. But I could have saved, and I did. I was saving every month to go to the USA. That has been my passion and my dream since the age of 8. I came pretty close many, many times. But there was times where I just didn't have a travel buddy to do it with, or I had to use half that money and do something else with it, So even though I was saving, I just never got to travel until my dad's birthday came around, and I decided to take half that money and we went traveling. And it was the best experience of my life. I caught the bug. I just couldn't stop after that. But not that it came easy, because all you do is really just saving for it, right? The little that you would save would take so long that by the time you're burning out, you want holiday. So I felt stuck, worked my way up every 2 years just to save a little extra, But even that was a problem, because not only if you are lucky enough to get a 3% or a 5% increase, your expenses go up. Your medical aid goes up, food goes up, petrol goes up. The little increase that you got in your salary doesn't even cover the expenses that you have to pay. So really, saving was incredibly difficult, sometimes not even possible. Slowly, I realized that corporate was just becoming a bunch of BS. I was building up a lot of frustration at this point because I just felt trapped and I couldn't escape from it. I needed to reach my breaking point, and I did. For the first time, I reported to 3 women all at once. Now, I've reported to women before and I've had incredible relationships with them. I've reported to many managers before. Like I said, I've worked there for 13 years. But this time around, I tell you, it was meant to happen. And really, I feel like it was a blessing in disguise. But these women broke me to my core. I tell you, you know the word vulnerable? I never felt what it meant until breaking down with these women. It happened during COVID times, and so we had to work from home and that, and everything was fine. But it just felt with my personality that they didn't click. I remember my friends telling me that the managers were asking if I'm this loud and bubbly like all the time, you know? And my friend says, yeah, she's just a bubbly person. And I think that didn't sit well with them. They just used me as examples to teach the team lessons. When we weren't allowed to go to the office, they used to set ridiculous targets, not impossible to achieve. You could achieve it and you would try so hard. But when you send your work through for approval and then they would send it back with so many errors and questions. I even tested the one theory out and they used the exact same letter from the general manager for a case study, and she had done the template and she sent it to me for my particular case, and I had the exact same case. And so I took the exact same letter and all I did was change the client's name, address and date, and I sent it to her for review, and she sent it back with changes of her own letter, you know. And I knew for a fact that this was something personal. My colleagues even told me, they said, look up the definition of victimization in the workplace. And I clicked each and every tick box for that. It was really sad and unfair, frustrating. And no matter how I tried, I just couldn't and wouldn't win with them. And so I found myself waking up this one Saturday morning, broken to my core, unable to breathe. I woke up and I started looking for jobs, just any job that I could apply for. And Travis woke up and he's like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm struggling. I can't. I can't. I started hyperventilating and he held me from the back with his one arm and, you know, just to comfort me. And it was in that moment I broke down and I understood what vulnerability meant. Later on, we had a picnic outside. It was Saturday, and now we're all working from home. So really, whether you work on Saturday or Sunday, it doesn't matter. You got to make sure all your cases are sorted. But we decided that we were going to have a picnic because it had been affecting my life all these months. I was vlogging about it on TikTok, and I became a horrible person. I became an angry person. My relationship started getting affected because now work from home and all that toxicity and dealing with the management and everything. And now it's easy for people to be nasty online and on email and stuff. Face to face is a different situation. Working from home not only took me away from my team, so you couldn't speak to like-minded people that also share the same sentiments with you, but it became lonely and it became like I was being attacked daily in my own home, and I had no other way but to let out my frustration, and it was out of anger. And I took off with so many people. I remember with my domestic worker, my dogs also, every time I start shouting, they would hide away. Travis had the worst time with me during that time. I started closing down from my friends and family. I booked myself into therapy because I felt like I was losing it. So this Saturday, Travis and I had a little picnic and we went on a small trip. I'm telling you, that opened up a world of ideas for us. He turned around and said to me, I think he had thought about this before though, and he said, why don't you resign? And I was like, well, what would I do? How would I, what work? I only know insurance for the past 13 years. Like, yeah, I can resign, but then I'm gonna start at another insurance company and like do the same thing. And now because of my experience, like I'm afraid to really have a boss or report to anyone, especially a woman. He had said to me that I had just recently sold my house where I was living, and he and I bought a place together. So I had that profit money, and during my my buying self-satisfaction experiences, I bought myself a camera because I love photography. So I spent a lot of money just because I wanted to spoil myself and I felt like I deserved it. So while still working there, I went and bought an expensive camera. Now I've got the profit money of the sale of my home. He says you can turn your hobby into a career. And I was like, whoa, what? And he says, you love taking pictures. Why don't you register, learn photography, do a photography course, and turn your passion into your hobby? And I was like, whoa, mind blown. I can actually do that? Like, that's an actual thing? Like, I can actually do that? Yes, there's photographers out there that are photographers. You know what I mean? They're living their lives, they're doing their things. And I tell you, it was the first time, I'm in my 30s now, it was the first time anybody has put the idea out there that you can entrepreneur this life. You know? Yeah, that's basically it. Maybe I was covered under a rock my whole life. I don't know. But it was the first time that I felt like my eyes were open. Now, I was doing photography as a hobby, like I said, not experienced, not qualified in it. And I don't have any or don't know of any other passions or anything that, I'm good at. I've never explored. I never had time to explore in anything else but to learn insurance stuff. So how was I going to do this? I would take my profit from the sale of my house as well as the provident fund that I would get paid out, and we calculated how long or how many months this would help me survive, and that will be the amount of months I have to build my own thing. Now, what my own thing was at this point, I didn't know, but that seemed like a plan and a very doable plan and something that I really, really wanted to look into. Like, is this possible? I could buy myself this time and try to build my own thing. Yeah, it's possible. Now, I was very lucky to have started with a nice saving of the sale of my house. But even if it wasn't the sale of my house, the fact that he mentioned I could use my provident fund, and growing up in a brown community, you're told not to use your provident fund. You have to transfer it to the new company, to secure your retirement and that. But listen here, guys, you can do the math, and maybe that provident fund will help you when you retire, and maybe it won't even buy you a loaf of bread. Like, have you calculated how much you need to be earning at that point of retirement to sustain yourself living the lifestyle that you're currently living in the future? With everything, with all the prices and that increasing and stuff. Like, it is crazy. We both honestly believe that your retirement and your savings plan should come from your... It should be income that you are saving on your own in some other way, or passive income that you have created for yourself. So while we were in our trip, picking it out there, I knew Travis was right. This was a huge deal for me, something that I haven't heard of or personally known of anyone to do. And I was all of a sudden excited and awoke. I was even standing up. I was visualizing it. I knew the amount of strength and hard work that it was going to take. I knew it was going to eat my savings. And once my savings were eaten, then really, what do I have, So that was the most scariest part. But the fact that I gave myself X amount of time to build my own thing and do my own thing, it'll be fine. And by the time, if my money had to run out and I haven't built anything, then the option of always going back to corporate is still there. I've got my qualifications. I did very well where I was working. I don't have to go back to the same company, but I could find another corporate job. So that was an option. But the first aim of the game was to take my savings and fly with it. In that moment when he was bringing up all these ideas, there was a gush of wind that just blew past me. And me and my late mom, share the same type of hair. When this gush of wind flew past me like this, if you believe it, right? I just felt the sense of comfort and the sense of get it. But that comfort, that hug, that hold, that, yeah, you can do this, because this is life-changing. This is turning my life around 180 degrees. You understand this? This is taking everything that I've known on how I use lifestyle and turning it totally around. I've never entrepreneured before. I've never built my own business before. I have a certain amount of time to do it and a certain amount of money to do it. And it's the most scariest but the most exciting, leaving that toxicity, those people and the repetitiveness. And I said to myself, I've been doing that work. If you take the people aside, say if I used to go to another corporate company, right? So you take out all the miserable people aside. Do I still want to do that? The thing is, the guarantee of a set salary every month is great. Nothing beats that. But when you know in your heart that life is so much more and you feel that you should be getting so much more out of life, considering how your childhood was and how your teenage years was and the loss of your mom and everything, you just feel like you don't want to be done anymore. And if you have an opportunity, why not try it? And if you fail, you fail, but at least you tried. At least you tried. And this was too good of an opportunity or an idea not to pass. What made it much more easier for me is that I had Travis as a comfort, as a backbone. So if anything went downhill, I could rely on him. And when I got that gush of wind, I knew in my heart and heart of souls that my mom was there. Later that evening, my dad called and my stepmom, and we shared this idea with him and the plan for me to resign on Monday morning. And my dad naturally was scared and concerned, and he even asked me, he says, "You can't handle pressure, huh?" And I said, "No, Dad, it's not that at all. I've handled pressure for 13 years. I've put up with everything that they've dished out to me for 13 years. I just come to a point now where I need better out of life. I need to be treated better because I'm losing my mind and I'm losing my family. I'm losing my partner. I'm losing myself. If I do this for anything, I want to do it for my own mental health, for my own mind, for my own heart." My dad trusted it and he gave me the blessing. So I technically, if you look at it, I got a blessings from both my parents on that day and a supportive partner telling me that I can do this. How can I not? What Travis had awoken my mind to was incredible. I could work for myself. I could be responsible for how much money I bring in. I could work and love passionately. I could have creative freedom and earn an income from that to sustain my lifestyle and still doing good in the world and just receiving good and doing good. And that repetitive cycle, that is something I want to do. I gotta be a fool not to try that, right? The plan was to put my resignation in on Monday morning. I tell you, the amount of relief I felt in my heart and the amount of happiness and excitement I was having. I was also scared, but I knew in my heart, if you dig deep in that heart, that this was the right decision. In my mind, it was incredible, absolutely incredible. I mean, there's no doubt I could have made it in corporate. Absolutely no doubt. I was excellent. But under those conditions, I tell you, you gotta hate your life to work under those conditions. And I did for a while. And I pity those that stuck there. And I know not everybody has the opportunities that I had to take this bold step. So Monday morning arrived. I placed in my resignation. I worked in my notice. They didn't call me after 13 years. They didn't call me for an exit interview, but I wasn't going to leave my team. I felt like they were starving and I didn't want to leave them like that. And I knew somebody had to speak. And so I spoke, and Travis helped me write a very respectful but honest and truthful letter to the director, and I CC'd my whole team in there, and everybody sent their gratitude after that, most of them, because not only were some people resigning before me because of similar reasons, but there was also people that resigned after me for similar reasons. And then the people that I resigned for, 2 out of the 3 ended up leaving. So after I worked in my notice, my first day as an entrepreneur, I kept it the same. I woke up at 5 a.m. I took a shower. I got myself ready because mentally you have to prepare. I've been doing this all my life, and I got cracking. Travis helped me tremendously. We put whiteboards together and our plan in place, and I was growing a social media following already at this point, but just for entertainment, it started taking traction. But nothing was bringing me income and was going to bring me income anytime soon, because I am aware that these things take time. But how much time was the question. Travis took this opportunity for every occasion, whether it was birthday or Christmas or anniversary or Valentine's Day, to buy me a piece of camera equipment or photography equipment to help build my studio properly. We took our main bedroom and converted it into an in-home studio. We were sleeping in the lounge. It was all exciting, and I was showing social media the progress of all of this that was happening at the time. But then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, they said it was going to last for 2 weeks, where we're going to be in lockdown. It ended up lasting for 2 years. So much so that when they put us in lockdown, I had to cancel all my photo shoots. And everyone was afraid to socialize at that point, and we weren't allowed to. So I had to cancel all my photo shoots. And I'm just sitting at home while my savings is going down and down and down and down and down. And I'm paying every month for it, and there's no income into that same bank account. That's where my savings is depreciating. Fast forward, I ended up opening up my own online homemade scented candle business. And I tell you, before even launching that business, I had orders. It was incredible from friends and from social media. It was just so awesome. I remember 2 Easters in a row, we sat here working on processing orders the whole Easter weekend. Like, it was crazy. We didn't even see Easter. It was incredibly crazy. I was so blessed with my supporters, my fan, with Travis, like, just helped me to take a simple homemade scented candle business and just blow it up so massively. It just humbled me, and it just made me so grateful. But I had to end up closing that business because it was doing so well. It came to a point where we either needed to upscale it massively. This is like hiring people and moving to a bigger warehouse and upscaling just hugely, or closing it down because I didn't want to take it to that level. And I chose closing it down because I didn't want to take it to that level. Because, to be honest, I'm fortunate enough to have made that decision. Ideally, if I didn't have the lifestyle that I have now, if I didn't have Travis support the way I have it now, I would have been forced to upscale, and I would be running a retail business, in managing employees, just running a whole massive retail business. And it's really not something that I saw myself doing. When I started the candle business, it was great. It was my relationship between me and my customer, and I just felt it one-on-one. But when we had to realize how much orders we need and how much customers we needed, that personal touch between me and my customer eventually faded away. And then I started mass producing because we had to take on more and more and more orders. And so it was just mass productions of everything, and I didn't feel connected. It wasn't the reason why I started this. I could have left it then. I could have upscaled it, and then I could have handed the business over to my dad and them for his retirement. Those were all the plans in the making behind Candle Kitchen, and when we were deciding to close it down. But they are still working, and I had other passions that were driving me in a different direction. I am spoiled in a sense where I didn't want to be working the whole retail vibes and that, and I have the luxury of choosing to close a successful business down because of my partner and his help. I played around with the idea for a while, and I started registering as a freelancer, and I started focusing on my digital work, back to my photography. And I realized how social media grew with videos and that. I started finding newfound passion in videography. When I started vlogging, I realized how I liked videos better than pictures. And then I started doing aesthetically pleasing videos, and I learned about videography. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa, I want to create that stuff. It's pictures, but moving pictures, and that's in line with my passion. And so I dabbled in both for a while, where I tried to balance it out. But every time I had to work with Candle Kitchen stuff, it was stressful and annoying, and I had chip nails, and I couldn't wash my hair, and it was just wasn't, it was making me miserable, but not miserable in that sense. I had the freedom to choose, and I didn't want to choose that. When I started focusing more on digital, both Travis and I saw that this is where my passion is. Creating digital art is where my passion really, really, really is. And so I made the decision to close the business down that was bringing me now the income, and close it down. Savings is depleted, and I'm starting all over again in this new journey of digital art. Now, I'm not earning what I used to earn, but I tell you, I'm so much more richer right now. Richer in my mental health, in my physical health, my appearance, in my lifestyle, in my way of thinking, in my attitude. I'm richer than I've ever been before. And I couldn't be more happier. So honestly, sharing my journey and the real life aspect of it is really to encourage and help others out there. I've seen DMs, and I've seen people reach out to me and tell me what an inspiration the story is. But I wanted people to understand that things just don't fall from the lap. This is really what happens, and this is the realistic view of it. you know? For example, the cons living an entrepreneur life, building your own brand and freelancing on the side is that you constantly have financial stress. You constantly, when you work it in corporate, you don't have it because you guarantee that money every month. When you are an entrepreneur, whether you're freelancing or building your own brand, you constantly have financial stress. There's no guarantee where the money is coming from until you build a strong client base and it's set every month and you have set contracts in that. But where I am now, there's no continuous client. Your money is not guaranteed every month, and how much is not guaranteed every month. You don't only work 9 to 5. 9 to 5 doesn't exist now. Now it's in your own best interest to work 24 hours. But unfortunately, we have to sleep. Although sleep is very, very important to keep the mind and everything in check, and we'll do a separate video on that later on. You really just use your time to work and then to sleep. You do have a freedom of schedule in that you can go brunching now, and if you need to do something during the week or the weekend or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Time is yours, but time feels like crime. Time is money. Time is literally money. When you're taking that call and you're talking long stories that's not going to benefit your future or your success, help towards your success, and that you're literally just wasting money down the drain unless you're bonding with the person. When you're sitting on social media and you're giving in onto all the negativity and all the hate and everything that's going there, you're literally just wasting time doing that when you could be productive. You get hit with something called creator block. Okay, so my battery died. Yeah, it's a different POV. We were talking about pros and the cons. Because time is of the essence, you're constantly under pressure. And you never really snap out of it until you go like on a proper vacation or holiday. It's a lot of hard work. When you're working for corporate, everything's laid out to you, everything's scripted, it's just clear cut. The direction and purpose and goals is all laid out for you. You basically have a job function, you do the job, and then it's done. When you do this life, you are everything. You have to be a lawyer, you have to check legal, you have to be logistics, you have to be management, you have to be agent, you have to be marketing, you have to be the product, you have to be the creator, you have to be the spokesperson. Everything is you. Until you've grown up to that point where you have a whole team backing you. It keeps you going, it keeps you on your toes, it keeps you busy. And a lot of my people, a lot of friends, families feel like I don't answer calls anymore and I just don't want to talk or anything of that sort, but it's really not that. I don't have time to chit chat. For the hi, how you phone calls, text is fine, but the hi, how you, no purpose phone calls, life doesn't award me that anymore. Because I have bills to pay, I have bread to buy, like there's things that need to be accomplished. And so my highs and how yous is really not helping both you and I at this point, you know. So there is no time for that. There's a lot of time for socializing and everything. When you're in corporate, you don't have that much financial stress because you know on a certain day you're getting some money. It's just what's good for the one is crazy hectic for the other. And so you as a person need to determine if you don't like the hustle and the bustle of the whole logistics and running your own brand and company or services or anything of that sort. We're doing all. I'm building a brand, I'm running a company, and I'm hiring out my services, you know. And if you just want, you'll put up with the grind and you just want your set amount every month, then corporate is the way. If you do tick a lot of victimization checkboxes, that you don't have to stay there. There's plenty other corporate companies out there. Just take that time, invest that time, put your CV together to look and go to a place that values and appreciates it, because you know that you're a hard worker and you know that you'll put in and you're comfortable with that amount every month. But you need to be treated right. You need to be treated fairly. And if you're on the flip side and if you feel that life is much more than that and you're just this type of person that's just tired of everything life threw at her and just wants to explore and experience the good, the bad, the ugly, and just be out there in the world, then you need a little savings. It's not going to happen overnight. You need a little savings, you need a plan, but it's all achievable and it's definitely possible. And with the right people around, watching the right people, learning from the right people, having the right company around, the right encouragement helps tremendously. It helps. You can even start off your own brand without having money. If you have something of value to give to people and you're consistently feeding them value, then you already got what it takes. You just need to take it and run with it. And by sharing my story, when I receive feedback from people that it helps me to motivate further, because the internet can be brutal. And when I put raw experience stuff out there, like whether it's going to tarnish my name or not, being honest and being truthful is the thing that matters to me. And the internet can come down hardcore, and I recently experienced that. And there's sometimes where I feel like, why am I even doing this? Like, I can just be living my life. I don't need to share anything. But I remembered why I started my YouTube channel in the very beginning. Why I did it, why I shared my story, is to help that little girl that I once was, that didn't have this help, that didn't know how to maneuver life without her mom and everything else. And I honestly feel with the right guidance and direction in my past, I'm not blaming anybody, but I would have made better decisions. I would have just stuck around a little bit harder, but I didn't have any examples around me either. And I wish I had somebody on the internet to tell me that there's options out there. There's options out there. And I probably wouldn't have invested 13 years, but it's never too late. Here I am, entrepreneuring this life. It just motivates me to do greater and greater, and just makes this content, and it takes time to make this content. And as you can see, my battery died on the camera, but there's no time to wait now for the battery. I should have a double battery, but there's no time to wait for it to completely charge. So you move on. Make a plan, because time is of the essence. I gotta be somewhere. I gotta be doing something in the next hour. You understand? And then also, social media is very, very powerful. I started off on TikTok and I thought that was the way to go, because you just gain so much of exposure there. But I've realized now recently that YouTube is more of a life-sustaining platform. It's more valuable. It's more realistic, it's more honest and truthful, and the platform itself is just designed in a certain way to help people that are serious about this journey. So YouTube has become my focus, and YouTube's going to be getting a lot more of this content and my vlogs and everything else, because it's more like-minded people, like-minded like me and Travis. Aside from bringing the money, it's more like-minded people. It's more mature people, more mature crowd that actually understand and respect. And I'm not saying that everyone has to agree. I love criticism, but I'm my 30s. I'm not a 20-year-old. Make it constructive criticism. I got no time for like BS and stuff. Literally, time is money, folks. I don't regret this decision at all, and I'm grateful to do it, like I said, and I want to repeat this. I'm grateful to do it and take this other detour, even by closing my successful business down. I'm grateful that I have a supportive partner that just wants me to live my dreams and passions, and it just motivates me to just wake up every morning and to do it. And I do it. I kick ass every single day until I have creative block. And that was one of the cons before we got cut off, is there's times where you're just not determined. You have to find determination from yourself. You have to find motivation from within, and sometimes it's difficult to find that on your own. Sometimes you have to be inspired, and with what I do, I've got to live life. I've got to let life happen to me so that I can create content from it. If I'm not living and experiencing it, then I can't create content from it for my vlogs, for example. And so sometimes it's really, really difficult for self-motivation, but understanding this and taking the time and realizing what's going on, and then listening to other people, like-minded people, and learning from them as well, will help you better understand your situation. And so when I push Monday to Thursday, when I'm pushing digitally, I know on Friday I probably will have a blank mind, so I'm not even trying to be creative on Friday. I know that my mind is shut and I need to do something else, something more physical, something more crafty, something different, And the benefit of that is that you have your own schedule. It's so doable. I found my passion, and after 3 years of trying to figure out what that is, I finally found it, So you're probably not going to know of day one, and you'll probably start with something and then it'll lead you some other part, but you will find it eventually. It'll come. It will come. It'll happen. There's really no rule book. You got to figure it out on your own. The number one way to do that, to choose, is that you have to know what you love the most. And when I had to decide between my successful candle business and trying to start a digital brand now, I chose what I really, really, really want to do. And I couldn't be more happier. Nor could I ask for anything more. More money, because still bills still need to be paid, but we get in there. And I mean, I'm determined to do it because I know the kind of lifestyle I want. Life experiences cost money and cost expensive money. And the aim is to make money so that you can experience life in the most happiest way possible, with the most passion. You're not only doing this just to travel and go here, there, everywhere. You just want to enjoy your daily life. Every single day that you're living, you want to enjoy it. Because who knows how much time we have here? Why be put here to be miserable? Why spend any day, any moment miserable? Things that you can change, not necessarily in your control, but you can change. I'll say it again. I knew deep down, but I didn't know how to change it. I had to get the right people, in my case, the right person in my life to open my eyes and say, you can change. This is what you can do. You understand? So associations matter as well. Determination and association. And you guys, I hope that this was helpful. You got something out of it, whether it's to put your mind at ease for your nice corporate job that you're enjoying at the moment, or if it was a determination to try something new. If you have any questions, you want to find out anything else, drop your questions below. And if you found this informative and you want more real life raw experience from me, hit that subscribe button and click on the bell. See, I'm getting used to it. I'm just learning it now, right? In 10 years from now, I'll be a fundy. Click that bell, because when I load or upload a new video, then when you subscribe, then you know that I've loaded a new video. Okay, peace out. Love long and prosperous. How's it?